What is going on, guys? Monk7Mad here with the templates pack, and at the beginning of the video you would have seen the 3 templates that are being given away today. The purpose of this little bit at the end of this video is to just show you how to quickly edit the templates, because I had a couple people in the last pack I did say that they couldn't edit things or didn't know how to, so I'm just going to give you a very brief rundown on how to edit the 3 templates available. So the first one is the simplest of the 3 to edit. Actually, the first and third one are the simplest to edit. You just simply will click on a part of the background, so for example the text, or you can drop down the template number. So this is template number 3, and you can drop down the text folder and choose whichever text you like to replace, so maybe the channel name. Double click and type in your channel, or whatever it is you'd like to put in there. And then when you've done that, perhaps edit the positioning of the text so it's in the center, and rescale all of this stuff down alongside it. So that's literally how you edit the first one. If you wanted to change the strength of the background image or the color, the simplest way to do it would simply be to add a hue and saturation layer above background. So just go down here, hue and saturation, and then you just simply change the hue. If you wanted to change the intensity of the background image itself, you open up the background folder and you would take the layer 19 and the copy of 19, and you would simply just increase either the strength of the opacity so it's a bit stronger, or you can change the blend mode to something like overlay or hard light or whatever. Just have a little bit of a mess around with the blend modes in there. So let's just remove that. Photoshop was freezing just then. So that's template number 1. I'll go to template number, sorry, that was template number 3. I'm going to do template number 2. Now this is the trickiest one to edit, and it's not even tricky, it's just there's a few little bits and pieces which you perhaps would need to follow. So for example, the text is simple enough to change. You'd simply just double click and change that. However, for the background, I've put a phase logo in the background for the show, and what I've done is I've put a folder in here called replace with your logo. So you open that and you're going to copy the layer style, so right click, copy layer style, delete these 3 layers because they're all the same thing, and then you put your logo there. I'm just going to use a square for a minute, and you paste your layer style on that layer of your logo, and what it'll do is it'll seem to look like it's disappeared, but actually it's a very, very fine sort of inset into the page. So what you could do is alternatively you could attempt to adjust the opacity to increase the strength, but what I tend to do is I just simply duplicate the layer and then change the opacity afterwards, and you just duplicate it as many times as you want until it becomes really clear, or as clear as you would like it to. And the other thing for this one is very simply, if you'd like to do this sort of motion blur effect, I've actually put, so if you open up I think it's the center text folder, yeah, I've got 2 folders, a Facebook and a Twitter. If you open up, say, the Twitter, for example, you've got 2 layers. You've got a motion blur, text, and if you actually click on that, it will show the rest. Angle at 0 and distance of 36. And what that's referring to is a motion blur. So what you do is, let's say I've deleted this. Let's just say you've got your text, it's your Twitter name. You make a copy of this, so Control J, which is a duplicate. Then you go to Filter, Blur, Motion Blur. It'll ask you if you want to rasterize. Click OK. And then you just simply change the angle to 0 degrees and the distance to 36, which is what's written on the actual layer itself. And then if you wanted to, you could just change the opacity to make it fit in the background a little bit better. So that's the second one. And for the also you'd repeat the same thing for the Facebook one as well. And the template number 1, my personal favourite, this one right here, the simplest of all, and really nice one to end off the template pack with. Again, very simple to edit. The only thing you'd need to do is perhaps if you want to change the images, which are here, what you'll do is you'll go into the drop down of the template and then open up the images folder. And each of these have been labelled, so we've got left 1, left 2, right 1. Now each one of those is their own position, so left 1 is the closest one, left 2 is the further away one, R1 is the closest one this side, and R2 is the furthest away that side. So above them they've got a little layer with an arrow pointing down to them, and that's known as a clipping mask. And a clipping mask is where you tell the layer that you want it to take shape of the layer that's beneath it, which is why it's pointing downwards. So what you do is you'd find a picture, so it can be any picture you like. It doesn't have to be Call of Duty related, it could be anything at all. It's better though if it's actually a proper image and not a PNG of just a render, like something like this, because it will just be blank in the background. So let's just take a picture of The Last of Us, for example, and let's just take this one here. And what you'd do is you'd simply scale the layer down just a little bit. It doesn't have to be complete because you can scale after as well. And you'd place it over the top of the one that you want. So if we're going for left number 1, you have to find the layer left 1. You delete the layer above it, and you move this one so it's just in line with layer 1. And then you right click. Oops, sorry, make sure it's above layer 1. You want to right click, create clipping mask, and what it will do is it will shape it to the layer itself. And then you can simply drag that layer on its own to reposition it under the clip, so you can scale it, etc., so that it'll all fit. And if you wanted to change the brightness, so at the moment I've dimmed them down, what you need to do is they're not actually image opacities that are being changed, it's actually the placeholder, so the ones that are labelled L1, L2. I've turned them down, so you just go onto the layers. So for example, let's go with L1 because that's the one we've just done. So L1, its currently opacity is 49%, so just change that to 100 if you want it as full, and change the blend mode if you wanted it to be completely normal, back to normal, and there you have it. So that's going to be it for the template pack. I really hope you enjoy. The download link is in the description if you did download and you do use it. Don't forget to hit that like button to let me know that you want some more, and that my time wasn't perhaps wasted. I'm sure it isn't, but you guys, I hope you enjoy the templates as always. If you want to request a tutorial for the next video, that would be greatly appreciated, because I'd like to try and actually make sure I follow what you guys are interested in, as opposed to just going off on a random tangent. So that's going to be it from me, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a nice day.